A small town nestled on the edge of a sprawling forest was home to a young boy named Ethan. His family lived in a modest house near the outskirts, and although their life wasn't filled with luxury, it was rich in love and simplicity. Ethan was known in the neighborhood for his kind heart and curiosity. He was the kind of child who would often spend his afternoons exploring the woods, or helping his parents with chores around their home. One crisp autumn afternoon, while walking along the narrow path near the forest's edge, Ethan heard a faint sound. It was a soft whimpering, almost as though something was in distress. He paused, listening intently, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from. His curiosity led him to a small, overgrown area where thick bushes and trees created a secluded corner. As he got closer, he noticed a small, scruffy puppy huddled in the corner, shivering and trembling with fear. The little dog had matted fur, and its ribs were visible beneath the dirt-streaked coat. Ethan's heart broke at the sight. Without hesitation, he crouched down and extended his hand toward the tiny creature. The puppy, although scared, recognized the kindness in Ethan's eyes and slowly crawled toward him. Gently, Ethan scooped the shivering pup into his arms, cradling it against his chest to offer warmth. The puppy's small body trembled against his, but Ethan whispered soothing words, hoping to calm it. "I've got you now," he murmured softly. "You're safe with me." Ethan carefully carried the puppy back home, all the while looking down at the fragile animal in his arms. As he entered the house, his mother looked up from the kitchen, her eyes widening in surprise as she saw the small, dirty puppy. "Ethan, where did you find that poor thing?" she asked, concern flooding her voice. Ethan explained how he had discovered the puppy near the forest's edge and couldn't just leave it there. His mother sighed but smiled softly at her son's big heart. She knew he couldn't stand to see any creature suffering, and though they didn't have much, they could make room for one more. Together, they bathed the puppy, carefully cleaning the dirt and grime from its fur. It was clear that the puppy had been abandoned, and as Ethan held it in his lap, he felt a deep sense of responsibility. He promised himself that he would care for it no matter what. His parents agreed that they would try to nurse the puppy back to health, and Ethan spent every moment he could tending to it, feeding it, and offering comfort. He named the puppy Max. As the days passed, Max began to show signs of improvement. His coat became shinier, and the spark of life returned to his eyes. The bond between Ethan and Max grew stronger with each passing day. They became inseparable companions, spending time together in the yard, playing, or simply enjoying each other's company. Ethan's parents were amazed at how quickly the little puppy had adapted to his new home, and they were grateful to see their son so happy. One evening, as Ethan and Max sat on the porch watching the sunset, a car pulled up in front of their house. A middle-aged man stepped out of the vehicle, looking around curiously. He was dressed in a suit, and his face held a stern expression. Ethan stood up, feeling a bit uneasy, unsure of who this stranger was or why he was here. The man approached him, his eyes scanning Ethan before landing on the puppy in his arms. "Is that my dog?" the man asked in a deep voice, his tone serious. Ethan froze. Max, who had been happily wagging his tail, suddenly grew still, his ears flicking back. Ethan could feel the tension in the air, and he instinctively tightened his grip on the puppy. "Who are you?" Ethan asked, his voice shaking slightly. "I'm Max's owner," the man replied, his expression softening just a bit. "I lost him a few weeks ago. I've been searching for him ever since. I saw a post about a stray dog that had been found around here, and I thought it might be him." Ethan's heart sank. He looked down at Max, who seemed to hesitate, sensing the shift in the conversation. Ethan could feel the growing conflict inside him. He had grown to love Max, and the thought of letting him go was unbearable. But at the same time, he didn't want to deny the puppy the chance to be with his rightful owner if that was what was best for him. The man took a step closer. "I understand if you're attached to him," he continued, his voice softening. "But I've been looking for Max for so long. He's a part of my family." Ethan's mind raced. He looked at Max, who now seemed torn between the two of them. Ethan knew that Max had found safety and love with him, but was it fair to keep him if he truly belonged to someone else? "I don't know what to do," Ethan whispered, his eyes brimming with tears. He had never been in a situation like this before, where he had to choose between the love he felt for Max and doing what was right. The man knelt down in front of Ethan and Max, his expression gentle. "I can see how much you care for him. You've done a wonderful job caring for him. I just want to make sure Max is happy. If he wants to stay with you, I'll respect that. But if he wants to come back with me, I'll be thankful to have him back." Ethan looked at Max again, and for the first time, he noticed the way the puppy's eyes shifted between him and the stranger. Max gave a soft whine as if he couldn't decide either. Ethan's heart swelled with emotion. He knew this moment would define everything for Max. After a long pause, Ethan looked up at the man. "I want Max to be happy," he said, his voice trembling. "If he feels like he should go with you, then I'll let him go. But I'll always love him." The man smiled gratefully. "Thank you, Ethan. You're doing the right thing." Max looked up at Ethan one last time, and then, to Ethan's surprise, he bounded toward the man, wagging his tail. The reunion was bittersweet, but Ethan knew it was what Max needed. The puppy had found his way back home, and it was clear that his journey had come full circle. The man knelt down and hugged Max tightly, tears glistening in his eyes. "I've missed you so much," he whispered. Ethan watched the reunion with a lump in his throat. Though his heart hurt, he knew that he had done the right thing. Max was home, and that was all that mattered. Ethan would never forget the bond they shared, and he knew that he had made a difference in the puppy's life. Sometimes, love meant letting go, and Ethan had learned that sometimes, the hardest decisions were the ones that were made with the most love. As the man and Max drove away, Ethan stood in the yard, his heart full of a mix of emotions. He had given Max the best chance at a happy life, and that was something he could be proud of. A part of him knew that someday he would have another animal to care for, and in his heart he would always carry the love and lessons Max had taught him. The day ended with a quiet sunset, and though Ethan's heart still ached, he smiled, knowing that Max was where he belonged.